Good evening. An end is in sight for the moratorium on the temporary foreign workers program. Now, the good news came down yesterday in a roundtable meeting held by Westlock St. Paul MP Brian Storsett. Now, the MP says the moratorium will end in June, but as Fraser Snowden finds out, changes will come about.
Relieved that I can go back and we're able to go back and share with our staff, because there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty in the community because of it, and so it's a relief for me to go back and say that.
The other news is the fact that there will be significant changes to the program.
Business owners such as Megan Land and many others can breathe a sigh of relief with the news of the lift on the temporary foreign workers moratorium in June. However, MP Brian Storsett says although it is good news for the industry, businesses should not rely on the program completely, especially when expanding.
I don't believe that we should be totally creating new businesses based on 100% government programs. You know, anybody that does that, and my message here today when I was asked the question of how certain can we be about the program, is the fact is there is no certainty.
While the McDonald's in Cold Lake relies heavily on the program, Land says they do go out of their way to try and find Canadian workers.
We do job fairs, we do Aboriginal job fairs, we advertise in the schools, we advertise in the paper, I think 11 different places, 365 days a year on job sites.
This McDonald's employee moved to Cold Lake 6 years ago from the Philippines and was one of the first TFW workers in the area. She says this program helped her make a significant life change.
Like, it opened an opportunity for me to come here and provide for my family, and right now I'm already a permanent resident and I was able to bring my family here. So, like, you know, to live a better life.
Storsett says the exact changes to the TFW program are still to be decided, but that some regions will suffer more than others if the right changes aren't made.
I hope regionalization is part of it. I hope we look at market-based solutions for this program.
In St. Paul, Fraser Snowden, Newcap News.
Border city commuters will see some changes when it comes to Highway 17 as city staff plan to expand parts of the road and turn it into a one-way. Now, the Juba project begins its first phase next month, and residents are already voicing their opinions. Now, the initial artist renderings came out in March, but this week has gained in popularity on social media. Now, we hit the streets to ask some local drivers what they think of the proposed plan, and while reactions were mixed, most agreed changes had to be made.
This is how everything's supposed to look heading south around now?
Well, I think it needs to be done.
Yep.
There's no question that traffic in the city is really held up, and so if the one way is what we have to do, that's what we got to do.
Between 16 and 17, they need to do something in town here. The traffic's just getting worse and worse all the time on that part of it.
It's been tried before, and it didn't last very long, so if it helps move the traffic, great, but I don't know. It's going to have some improvements for it to do that.
That's definitely a start. It's a big problem there. There's no question about it. If that's the best way to do it, then so be it.
I think it'll really help with the traffic flow. Yeah, I think it'll be a good change.
Now, the couplet project will ultimately see 49th and 50th Avenues turn into one-way roads from 41st to 57th Street. Now, the first phase, starting in June, will focus on sewer upgrades underneath the highway. The entire project is expected to be completed by 2017 and will cost $30 million. Annual property assessments are now underway in the border city, so don't be surprised if you have a few visitors in your neighborhood over the next little while. Now, Lloydminster has once again teamed up with KCL Consulting to do the assessments, and the firm will have the inspectors in the city periodically throughout the year. KCL reviews about 20% of properties in the city each year, with an emphasis on renovations and new additions.
They'll do a little closer inspection based on what permits have been issued. So if you've got a permit for a shed or a deck or a basement completion, they could be coming to your home looking to inspect to ensure those projects are finished and therefore could be added to the assessment of your property.
Consultants will conduct exterior property inspections and obtain information, which could include taking photos and measurements. Officials say all KCL consultants will always have visible identification on them while they are performing their duties.
If they drop a card in your mail, they're just looking to set up a time convenient for you to come into your home and make sure that those permits have been fully executed.
And the deadline to pay this year's property taxes is Monday, June 30th. Well, there is a new face in office at the Juba Community Theatre. Mark Quinn took over the general manager position this month. Now, the name might sound familiar to some people as this is his second go at the position. Annika Notveit spoke with him this morning and has more.
Safe to say this isn't Mark Quinn's first act when it comes to theatre experiences. His love for the stage scene led him to managing 3 different performing arts centres in Ontario before briefly taking the GM position at the Juba in 2004. He took a 10-year hiatus and says he's ready to jump back in.
So it's important that I catch up with what's been going on in the theatre and in the community for the last 10 years in order to be able to carry forward from 2014, not 2004.
He says arts and culture have expanded in Lloydminster in the last decade, and he wants the theatre to follow suit.
As new people move into the community, new tastes move into the community as well, and I want to be able to fulfill those tastes while maintaining those relationships with the community groups and the companies that use the theatre already.
He also says volunteers keep the place going strong and believes they play a big part in the growth.
Meeting the volunteers in the way that I have over the last few weeks has been just a wonderful introduction to the community. Because everybody tells me things, which is all wonderful, but when I hear them from a volunteer, I'm hearing it from the heart.
He says he can't tease any solidified changes for the future, but has one thing in mind.
When it comes to the building, Quinn says it's in good shape, but the stage is 12 years old, and he hopes to replace it by the fall. Annika Notveit, Newcap News.